Janbai Damina Damasa det Rifle Veneriota. My name is James Drake IX, and welcome back to the Dragon's Den. Today I'm going to be answering questions about my latest project, The Quester's Respite. If you haven't already seen it, I highly recommend that you pause this video and go watch it now, so you know what I'm talking about and don't get spoiled. I'll link the channel in the description and the pinned comment. Of course, if you've already seen all of those videos, carry on. I received a lot of good questions, more than I expected honestly, and I'm super excited to talk about all of them. However, right before I do, I would like to take the chance to quickly thank all of the people who have worked with me on this project thus far. All of you have really helped to make the world of Ativison and the Respite come to life, and I will be forever grateful. Now, let's dive into the questions. What is the layout of the Respite? The bar area takes up a majority of the space, with stairs leading to the floor above. A door behind the bar leads to a hallway, with the pantry on one side, the kitchen on the other, and the stairs to the cellar at the end. In the cellar is a well that is always full, and the smithy and apothecary are on the left-hand side as you come down the stairs. The rest of the space is mostly open and waiting for other potential uses. What are the walls made of? The walls are made of wood panels, which Briar spends his free time decorating, save for the cellar, which is walled with stone. How is the Respite lit? There is a lot of natural light, with large windows in the bar and smaller windows in the pantry and kitchen. There is also a large fireplace in the bar and kitchen, sconces and candles in the bar, and oil lamps in the pantry, kitchen, and cellar for when night falls. What does the outside of the Respite look like? It's a large wooden building with an A-frame roof. It looks like a relatively simple and welcoming tavern, with the only ornate decoration being the sign that Briar and Damien put together during the events of episode 11. What is the origin of the Respite? At the moment, not much is known about the origin of the Respite. We know that it's been around for a while, since at least one other person was keeper before Briar. For more information though, you'll just have to wait and see what the staff discover in their future adventures, because I'm not ready to reveal what I have planned just yet. But that's the in-universe explanation. The origin of the Respite in the real world was actually inspired by Quincy's Tavern on TikTok. The original thought was the channel would be a solo act, similar to ASMR roleplay channels, where the listener took on the role of an adventurer that was coming to Briar for help. But that slowly expanded into having more people as staff from all across the world. Then I had the idea to make the tavern magical, and started to draw inspiration from a half-dozen different magical buildings. The TARDIS, Casita, Howl's Walking Castle, and the Room of Requirement, as well as a couple other sources that have been lost to the recesses of my own bad memory. The finished result is the Respite that we have now, a place with the mission to give people what they need and the tools to do so. What is in the physical location before the Respite appears, and what happens to whatever is there? Anywhere the Respite appears acts as if it was always there, and when it leaves, the space acts as if it was never there. It never lands in the same place as a sentient being, and any inanimate object is temporarily displaced. Either they're slightly moved by the magic of the tavern, or they disappear entirely until the tavern leaves, whereupon everything goes back to how it was. This also allows it to slip into spaces between existing buildings, which is how Zarya was able to find the Respite back in episode 5, and what allows the staff to go shopping in episode 9. Is every room decorated differently for each occupant's preferences? Yup, every room is tailored to the needs and wants of the person occupying. Simple as that. What happens if the Respite itself is attacked or someone bad enters? Well, in theory, this is impossible. Firstly, if the Respite is genuinely under threat, it can just leave the area. Secondly, I'm of the opinion that most people who do bad things only do them because they're lacking something important. Whether that means food, money, or someone to trauma dump on, once they get what they need and know that they have support, they generally don't return to any immoral actions. However, there are a few exceptions to who the Respite will let in, most notably anyone who has malicious intent towards a patron currently under the Respite's protection. If someone leaves the Respite, can they come back? Will the Respite find them again? Now, this is stated in the first episode, but that was a while ago, so I'll say it again here. Any person who was given a rune stone gains the ability to enter the Respite through any door if they're holding onto the stone. If they're in the middle of the woods or otherwise have no available doors, closing their eyes for a second while holding the stone will call the Respite to their location. Is there a chance the Respite will travel in time or to other planets? Traveling through time is pretty unlikely. Ativason is a very young planet, with only about 1200 years of civilization, so there aren't very many interesting time periods to travel to. However, it is not unlikely that at some point in the future, the Respite might make an appearance on other planets. And not just within Ativason's solar system either. It would be a dream come true if the Respite was able to make an appearance in the worlds and lore of other creators as well. Maybe I'm dreaming too big, but a universe connected by Respite cameos sounds pretty cool to me. Are the characters in the story like the voice actors? Every character in the story is not only based on their voice actor, but also designed by their voice actor. From their race, to their backstory, to the role that they take in the tavern. This is how I plan to make each character in the future as well. I feel like it really helps each actor play their role if they were the ones to make the important decisions about their character. What is your inspiration for some of the storyline? The storyline that we just finished up sprang from the need to lay out a foundation for the project. It was always going to start with Briar finding the Respite and end with the staff naming it. Some of the stuff in between the two was also set in stone. The episodes of Arbietta writing in their journal and Briar telling the group a story are laying foundations of their own for miniseries. One focused on giving insight on each character, although the method could use some work, and the other focused on giving insight into the lore of Ativason. Everything else was just what makes the most sense to happen next. Who was your favorite character to write? I love all of my characters, and Daniela is a very close second, but Arbietta was probably the most enjoyable character to write. From the very first time I was writing them, I likened them to Edna Mode from The Incredibles, a little ball of sass that doesn't much care about the feelings of others and just takes over every scene they're in. They turned out exactly as hilarious as I hoped they would be. Also, since I'm talking about them, I feel like now is probably a good time to clarify something. Arbietta is non-binary. I couldn't think of any way to specify in-universe, but I had hoped that putting the NB flag on the thumbnail of Arbietta's episode might help. Regardless, I did see some evidence in the comments that it wasn't clear enough, so now I'm letting you know. Please make an effort to be respectful, and if you see anyone else misgendering them in the comments, please correct them kindly. For the record, Arbietta doesn't have a canon birth gender. It's far from the most important thing going on with their character, and I figured I might as well answer that question before it's asked. Do you feel the difference when it comes to writing male and female characters? Yes, but also no. I understand that there is a difference between male and female tendencies, but oftentimes I'm more focused on what makes the most sense for the character to be saying or doing, rather than worrying about if it fits the male-female dichotomy. Regardless, if I'm writing a character wrong, their voice actor is sure to correct me, which I welcome wholeheartedly. What inspired you to create your own fantasy world? Okay, this is one of my favorite stories to tell. About 4 years ago, my mother bought me a stained glass window as a present. I'm going to put a photo of it on screen now. You can probably see why she'd thought I'd like it. The window itself was very cool and I was excited to hang it up, but then my mother said something that stuck with me. You should write about it in one of your stories. At that point, I had been submitting short stories to different local competitions, so she knew I was a writer, but she probably didn't think much of it past that. However, I did. I thought about it so much that it laid out the foundation for the world of Ativason. I still want to write her story, but for now, the Respite is my main focus. Who or what are your main artistic influences when it comes to writing, if there are any? Matthew Mercer. The man is a world-building legend and a masterclass storyteller. Everything that he has done constantly inspires me to do my best. My goal is to one day be considered as good a world builder as he. Who introduced you to the world of audio roleplays? Plain Bread, voice actor of Daniela, was the person who first introduced me to audio roleplays, so you should all thank her for the Respite even existing. That might sound like I'm being dramatic, but I'm really not. There were a lot of things that needed to happen in order for the Respite to even become a concept in my head, and it started with her. So, thank you, Bread. What was the very first audio roleplay or channel you listened to? Solar Girl ASMR was the very first audio roleplay channel that Bread suggested I check out. There were a couple others, but Solar stuck out to me for several reasons. Her colorful and engaging thumbnails, her exceptionally high-quality audios, and her exceeding warmth and kindness towards the members of her community. She is as much an inspiration to me as anything else I've mentioned in this section, and I am very grateful to her. What is your inspiration for the name Ativison? Almost all of the words in the language that I've developed for my world are a combination of their translation in English and their translation in either Danish, Latin, French, or all three. That said, I no longer know where ativ, the root word for Ativison, came from. Past James could have told you, but present James cannot. What I can tell you is that ativ means create, and Ativison means creation. I wanted a name that was a little more creative than just calling it some translation of Earth, and I was already calling the deities the creators, so calling the world creation seemed like a logical next step. Does everyone happen to speak the same language? Yes, everyone in the world just happens to speak the same language. I would like to acknowledge that from a world-building perspective, it doesn't make much sense. However, I don't feel like I have the skill or knowledge to be able to make a different, unique, and interesting language for each culture that would need one. Perhaps that will change in the future, but at the moment, this is what I'm working with. This is a section that I added, because I wanted to let you know that I'm still trying to learn and grow as a creator. Firstly, presentation. I've received some good feedback on how to improve my thumbnails and titles to make them both more engaging and eye-catching. You will probably continue to see more experimentation with those as I try to figure out what is best for bringing in more attention. Secondly, captions. Captions weren't a part of my original plan for the series. I was hoping to be able to have audio waveforms, as in episode 0, either one for each character or one that would change colors for each character. However, that plan fell through as early as episode 1, so I had to make a pivot. I recognize that the captions weren't always the easiest to read depending on the background of the video, so you can expect to see improvements going forward. What's next for the Respite? Now that the foundations of the Respite have been laid out, the next step is to introduce the patrons. We're about to get into the original premise of the show. Someone comes into the Respite needing assistance, we hear their story, give them whatever they need, and then send them on their way. This will continue for several episodes, until eventually one of the patrons returns, and we get to hear about how their story has progressed since the last time we saw them. It's a super unique format that will allow us to explore the storylines of dozens of characters at the same time, far more than most other forms of media can handle. It's very ambitious, and I am so excited to see how it turns out. I would also like to quickly note that the staff will be around as well. Briar is a good friendly face, who has the interpersonal skills to assist most of the patrons who visit the Respite. But sometimes Briar's skills are not enough, or he is unavailable for one reason or another. In which case, the other staff members will take center stage. Soldier needs a new sword, Damien will make small talk with them while he works. If someone was injured running away from bandits, Arbietta will patch them back together. There will also be episodes that explore the developing relationships between the staff, so don't worry, I'm not going to forget about them. How long of a series will it be? That's a good question, and the answer is, I don't know. The beauty of the format that I just described is that I can theoretically keep the series going for a very long time. Even if one character's storyline ends, there will always be another character who needs their story to be heard. That being said, there will have to be an end at some point. Unfortunately, that's just how things work, but we don't have to worry about that for a very long time. Will there be spin-offs? Yes. I am currently working on collaborating with voice actors on this site to bring you more stories from the world of Ativison, in a format that can explore the world beyond the boundaries of the tavern. At the moment, there is one such story, on the channel of one Solar Girl ASMR, about an unlikely companionship on the last night of the year. I'm working hard on writing a sequel to that, with hopes to turn it into a series. There will also be at least 4 other stories, each one an introduction to the cultures of the 4 other races. Past that, we'll have to see, but I certainly hope there will be more. Will the voice actors do solo work? Personally, I would love to do voice work outside of the work that I do for the Respite. However, I'm not entirely sure what that might look like at this time. Also, I don't want to speak for the others, but I can tell you that both the voice actors of Zarya and Daniela have made some mention of wanting to do their own voice work as well. If any of the voice actors start doing solo voice work, I'll be sure to give them a shout out on both this channel and on the Respite's channel. Who is that dream shoot for the stars voice actor you would love to collaborate with one day? Matthew Mercer, or any of the Critical Role cast. That would be really cool. Do you have any advice for someone new to the series? I'm really looking forward to listening to new adventures. I do have a few different tips. First, now is a great time to binge watch the existing videos. There aren't going to be new videos for a little bit, so use that time to catch up on what you've missed. There's a playlist titled Rehabilitation that has episodes 1 through 11 in order just for that purpose. Second, it would probably be a good idea to subscribe and turn on notifications for both this channel and the Quester's Respite if you haven't already. That way you won't miss any new content. And third, keep an eye on the community tab of the Quester's Respite. We'll be making announcements for all the collaborations as they're made, so you'll have plenty to watch. Have you drunk enough water today, James? Well, hey, now, that's just uncalled for. But no, I haven't. I'll get right on that, and then I'll wrap things up. That's all for me. Thanks again to all of the people who have helped me get this far, either by directly participating in the project or simply giving me encouragement. Especially to Ampersand XX, the voice of Arbietta, for drawing this excellent chibi and giving adorable energy to this video. And finally, thanks to all of you who are watching. Your support in these early stages of the show really means a lot to me. Until we meet again, Keltel Oja este per ila kuro juwa.